Mr. Ellen, we're ready whenever you are.
Can everybody make sure their phone is on silent, please? Good evening. I would like to call November the 10th regular board meeting to order. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? At this time, we're gonna stand and say the McComb School District Vision and Mission Statement. Vision.
Is power to change the world.
Mission.
Mission of the McComb School District is to become a premier world-class school system where student success is inevitable and each student is cultivated to become a fierce competitor in a global society.
At this time, we'll have 30 seconds of silence. Thank you. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda? Or we don't have to amend it to have the executive session first, because we have a student issue that we'd like to hear first.
Madam Chair, I move that we adopt the agenda, actually amending it to have our student issue early first.
I second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or concerns? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? At this time, we'll have, a closed determination on whether or not to go into executive session. We have a student issue that we need to hear first. Hey, how are you? We are out of the executive session. We had one student issue, and this time we're gonna return to the regular agenda. Next up, we will have technology update by Mr. Roger.
Yes, ma'am. My update tonight will take a couple minutes. So in the last week, this is what we've accomplished. My team actually went school to school. Some of our outside access points we were able to remove and place them in schools. We're going to continue that process over the next couple of weeks. We've also placed an order for 26 new wireless APs for the district. So we are moving toward testing. We've got that in progress, and we're a lot better than we were 2 weeks ago. So we're continuing to make steps forward, and Mr. Vick is helping me address those issues one step at a time.
Everybody got any questions, Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Dr. Burks, please use the mic.
So we will have, we approve the acceptance of the points, the data points from Madison. Is it from Madison?
Oh, you mean the donation?
Yeah.
They have given us 8 of those, yes.
8 of those, and they also will be able to be used to help us.
They will, yes, sir, they are.
Okay, and then we will have to also add them to our,
They are not, they're at the age of disposal, they don't have to go in inventory. They're not worth about $35 a piece right now.
okay, so we will have to add them to the wireless system, right?
Yes, that's not an issue at all. That just takes a couple minutes.
Okay, and we also, are we still looking into our E-rate?
So our E-rate through fiscal year 26 extends. So as fiscal year 26 comes available, that's the decision Mr. Vick and I are going to look at to see if we're going to be using those funds for wireless. We do have a plan that we can do wireless outside of E-rate, so that money could go back to cabling, but him and I are still looking at that for future. We haven't made that decision yet.
What I understand, I think our last, was it $200 per student?
I think it's 210.
210. We had 90% of, free lunch?
We actually file CEP, not NSLP, so we use a different percentage. We're on a community program, not the standard way that most school districts file, so that's a little different. I'm still learning. I did have the state director, Mr. Lee Braid, sit down with me last week, and we corrected our numbers for this year. So my month one numbers and his month one numbers now match, and those will be used to start our fiscal year 26 funding for this coming funding cycle, the next 5-year cycle.
It will give us some kind of indication of what our E-rate disbursement would be.
Yes, there's an estimation, but we won't see that until he submits. We don't have I can't give you a correct number right now. I'm waiting on his submission to NDE before we actually have more of an estimate.
And I think what is important to note, we still have to find a permanent solution.
Yes.
The access point that he's putting in place right now, we'll find them from other parts in the district and put them in the building.
Yes.
Building in Higgins. But we still got to come up with a permanent solution how we're going to fix the wires.
Yes, sir, we are. And that's why we're buying new APs right now. We're also going to, Ms. Hall and I have already talked about the first of the year, looking at what we have budget-wise to put in possibly 25 to 50 more during this school term, which would help a lot with what's going on. And then we've also, Mr. Vick and I have talked, if we can't do more this year, what it looks like to finish that process out the first of next fall to make sure we're back to 100% coverage district one. So we do have a plan. Mr. Vick has done a fantastic job. I think he calls me at least once a day about that, which is not a bad thing. He's making sure that I do what I need to make sure the schools are running.
Any more questions? Thank you, Mr. Lee.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks.
Thank you.
At this time, we have school at risk, September and October, Ms. Shanita Woods, Higgins Middle School. And Ms. Cynthia Butler, the assistant.
Good evening.
Good evening.
at Risk Monthly School Board Update, October 2025 and November 2025. McComb School District, Higgins Middle School. Our school identification is CSI. Our current accountability points from last year's math data is 348, which gives us a letter grade of C. Our school goal for 25-26 is an A with 450 points. Our benchmark that we will be using to determine this is Mastery Connect. In order to achieve that goal, our proficiency in reading must be 45%. Our growth for all in reading must be 70%, and our growth for the bottom 25 should be 70%. In math, our proficiency is going to be 50%. Our growth for all will be 70%, and our growth at the bottom 25 will be 75%. For science and biology, in order to achieve this A, we must have 70%. Our participation rate will be 100% for math testing. So for the month of October, when we look at our monthly report, and of course this report goes from September, so it's a month behind. So the data that I'm reporting on is actually September's data that we're reporting for October. Our total school enrollment for October was 283. Our student ADA was 94%. The percent of students with 2 or more absences for the month of October was 15.9%. Our teacher attendance rate was 94.4%, and we had 85 discipline referrals, with 15 of those referrals coming from the bus. Now, we have had our first 9 weeks benchmark assessment, and if you go back to the first page, you will see the data from the beginning of the year. Benchmark 1, our proficiency in reading was 27, our growth of all was 42.8, and our growth of the bottom 25 was 54.6% for reading. When we look at math, our proficiency was 40.8%, our growth of all was 61.7%, and our growth of the bottom 25 was 60.9%. Science came in at 63.8%, and we had a participation rate of 98%. And when we look at our monthly report, for November, our total school enrollment went up by 1 student, 284. Our student ADA was 90.22%. Percent of students with 2 or more absences for the month was 12.67%. Our teacher attendance rate was 86.6%, and the number of discipline referrals dramatically reduced, and it came in at 38, with 6 of those being bus. When we look at our total allocations from our school improvement funding, for fiscal year 2026, that data has not been released. For fiscal year 25, we had $73,454. And for 2024, our total allocations was $81,934. Any questions?
I was trying to figure out how to formulate my question, and you may not be able to answer it for the most part. What time of the day is reading done in the mornings?
Reading's done throughout the day.
Okay.
And so even though we are in elementary school, because this is middle school, our students rotate on a block. And so they have 3 classes a day that is an alternation between math, ELA reading, and science and social studies. And so it's done at different times of the day.
Okay, I was asking that, and just wondering, when we look at the absences, the absenteeism, and whether or not whether they're actually getting to school late and having to miss that part of the day's lesson. But I don't know, I'm just trying to search for the issues that might be out there, but I'm thinking that that's what y'all are working on.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think your question that you're posing is the reading proficiency being at 27% from the first benchmark. And so the reading test, ELA, is actually a comprehensive test that, because the standards spiral. And so there may be standards that the teachers actually have not touched when they take that benchmark. And so you'll see when Ms. Butler does the data presentation, we are expecting that to increase, and it's gonna be a jump from our benchmark 2. Because when I went in and I saw that, and I went and started looking at individual teacher data as to why did this look like this, and then that's when we sat down and looked at all the standards that were actually on the test that they actually have not covered. And it's simply because we may be teaching narrative writing, first 9 weeks, but they have to do author's purpose that they may not touch until December. And so there were quite a few standards on here that had not been touched explicitly, if that makes sense.
It does. Thank you.
You know, I'm always highly concerned that the lower percentile, whatever we doing, what specific initiative are we using to work with those students who are captured in the lower percentile? And then it's a twofold question. Also, sometimes in the lower percentile, we have those students who are just at the edge of moving above. How are we using any initiative to identify them, and if so, what are we using to move them on up?
Yes, sir. I must say, I want to thank Superintendent Vick for bringing equity analytics to our district. I don't know where he's been all my life, but he's a professor. I'm not staying up all night calculating, looking at student data, because everything is there and it's at a push of a button. And I'm expecting a greater result this year because of that system. And so we have went in and identified our LPS, our lowest performing students. Every teacher's aware of who those students are. We are making sure that we are doing tier 2 and tier 3 students with fidelity this year. So a lot of those LPS students do fall under tier 2. And so we have what we call growth groups that happen 3 times a week within the classroom. So teachers are doing pull-outs within the classroom where they have students at teacher table. Other students are at different groups that are addressing their skills and standards based upon the data that is coming from math tests, benchmarks, weekly tests. We are using iReady MyPad. Ms. Butler had wonderful results using that in her own classroom. And so we are utilizing that for students that are low performing to make sure that they are reaching growth. When we look at our data, Higgins has high proficiency. But we know we've got to touch those bottom kids, those middle kids, and that's what we're doing this year. And so those local kids are being addressed. We're making sure that they are being pulled out during tier 2. I have used school improvement funding to pay for an interventionist. So I am blessed to have an ELA interventionist this year, and she is meeting with students 3 times a week, doing intensive pull-outs. Ms. Butler, with all of her AP duties, is also doing math interventions along with the teachers. So she is pulling all of our tier 3 students 3 times a week to make sure that they are in service.
Okay, my last question is, how are we involving the parents in the process?
We have our interventionist scheduled meetings for all of those students and we have meetings every 12 weeks. Also, we have countless activities on campus where parents are invited. We also have our counselor who, if a student is falling behind, she makes appointments. We have parent conferences every single day at Higgins. There are parents that are being invited to campus for academics, for behavior, whatever is needed. I also have a behavior therapist at Higgins who is also helping with the referral issue. As you notice, our referrals for October was drastically higher than it was for November. We pushed discipline hard the first 2 months of school. We want to make sure that our students understand the culture, that they understand the expectations, so that our teachers can teach, and they can teach in peace. And they get it. All of a sudden, everything starts falling into place. We only have a few repeaters who are constantly causing disruption. And we have measures that we're putting in place for them as well. They're being referred to you.
Any more questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, we update by the principal.
Right, good evening, everybody. We're going to do a benchmark data one review this evening, looking at the benchmark that was taken on, in October, around the first full week of school. And, we're gonna go school by school and look at, the data. And I'm going to, yield to the principals, and they will tell you about some things that they've been doing as far as the plans that they have in place to respond to the data that we're gonna look at, and also things that they're doing in reference to going towards our benchmark 2 assessment that will happen around the last week before we get ready to go home for the winter break. All right, so in the presentation, we're gonna look at all of the grades that that lend test data as far as the accountability system is concerned. Tonight, we won't look at data for first and second grade. We'll look at that at another time, but we wanted to take a look at what Kennedy, how their performance was on their first kindergarten readiness assessment. We're gonna look at that, and then followed by the other schools. As we get to each school, I will talk about each slide and the percentages that you see there. So first off, we're going to start with Kennedy Elementary. It has some data on here, like I said, about the K readiness assessment and the actual goal that they met for the 2025 school year. Dr. Walker, I'm going to yield and let you.
Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. This is our KRA initial test we took back in August and it ended September 19th. We had 119 students tested, 43 students met the goal, which made a percentage of 36.1% met. We're using STAR Early Literacy, but it has changed somewhat. They did a longitudinal study with the third graders that tested back in 2021, and they looked at the students that made proficient. So they used those numbers, the numbers the students scored back in kindergarten, to determine what would be considered the percentile rank for them to be proficient. They're just not looking for passing, they want the students to be proficient. So they set a cut score, and instead of looking at the actual number, we're actually looking at the percentile. And 56% is where the students scored to be proficient. So we have 43 students that made that score in between August and September, and we're looking to improve that score when we test again next week. The things that we're working on to improve it is during our PLCs, we now have what we call lesson rehearsals. That's where each teacher basically pulls a component of reading that they'll be teaching for the next week, and they rehearse it in front of their peers. So that really makes them confident. They give each other feedback. I actually give them sentence starters because we don't want to hear, well, that you did good or you did a good job. So they actually give each other feedback on how they do during the lesson rehearsals. We use our Sabbath curriculum. We make sure we stick to it. We have a built-in intervention block where the students receive intensive intervention for 30 minutes with their teacher, and they do work with the teacher at the teacher table. They work with the assistant also, and then they have independent learning stations. The thing that we'll do for the next benchmark, this time coming up, we'll test, and then we'll actually look at the teachers and look at their areas of growth. We'll actually allow the students to go to those teachers if they have deficits where the other teachers are the strongest.
Any questions?
One question that always concerns me, and I go back to the times that I've subbed in the kindergarten classroom. What is your teacher to student ratio? What is the average?
Oh, it's lovely this year. Last year we were 25-2. But this year, our enrollment in kindergarten is low, but it's high in pre-K. So it varies from year to year. Last year, we could only get 40 pre-K. This year, we have a max of 80 that we can accept, and we're already at 77. But we only have, like, when we tested here, we had 119 kindergarten. Now I think we're up to 130. So I think the ratio now is like 18-2 with it. And I also took the time to kind of dive into the data, and 70%, I forgot to say this part, 70% of the students that made the score, the 697 or above, 70% of those students did attend the Learning Collaborative. So if you can put a plug for anybody to get their child into the Early Learning Collaborative, then we would really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right.
So moving on to Ockham Elementary, just to describe what's going on in the table. On the left-hand side, of course, we have the actual grade, the number of students that took the assessment. We have the percentages that are proficient, then we have growth for all percentages, and we also have growth for our bottom quartile students. On the left-hand side, this was from 2024, and on the right-hand side with the red is for this year. It's just a comparison of, just a snapshot of how the students were performing at that time in 2024 to 2025. It is not the same cohort of children, but it's just a snapshot to give us an idea of performance-wise what was going on in 24 to 25. So just briefly, looking down the road here, in 2025, Ockham's grade 3, reading, 118 students took the test. Proficiency-wise was 25.4% this year, and you can look back on the left-hand side and see how they compare. Growth for all was at 54.2%, and the bottom quartile students for reading this year was at 54.2%. Okay, just taking a quick look over at math. For 2025, 120 students took the assessment, 29.2 were proficient, 112.5% for growth for all, and 108.3%. And we love to see percentages over 100, but in the actual accountability model, they can only get, it's capped at 100% now. We used to be able to get all of these points, but now it's capped at just a flat 100%. Okay. Looking at grade 4 at Ockham, same thing. This year compared to last year, they had the same amount of students that actually take the test. 40.4% proficiency right now in reading. Growth for all is 55.1%. For our bottom quartile students, it's 53.1%. Just taking our eye over to math right now at 40.9% proficiency. 50% growth for all, and bottom quartile is 15.8%. Just saying really quickly, a lot of times when we present bench 1 data, we normally only do proficiency, but as you can see, we decided to do growth for all and bottom quartile as well. When we talk about growth overall, every time we take an assessment, we always compare it back to where the students came from, so we can tell if students are growing or not. So I'm talking, if I was in 4th grade last year, I'm in the 5th grade this year. So in 4th grade, if I had a scale score of 450, that would make me a level 3A. Well, as a 5th grader, I need to move past that 3A and grow to a 3B, okay? So every time we test, we always say our growth is because we're going back to the score that I came with, and I have to grow from that actual math score from the year before. Okay? All right, and Ockham Elementary overall. So these are the overall scores for her tested grades, grades 3 and 4. So overall, right now, 31.9% in reading, 55% in growth for all, and 53.4% for the bottom quartile. Moving over to math, right now, 34.1% proficiency, 54.5% for growth overall, and for the bottom quartile, 28.4%. And I will yield at this moment so that Ms. Chapman may give you any updates.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
And I have my lovely assistant, Ms. Ellis and Ms. Boone. So the first, we're going to talk about how we're responding to our benchmark 1 data. The first thing is student accountability. We're making sure that our teachers are talking with their students about where they are data-wise and making sure that they are having goals for the next benchmark. We also are getting parents involved by having TST meetings, we're having parent-teacher conferences, monthly parental engagement activities, and we're also having 3rd grade parent meetings so our parents can understand what their children are facing at the end of this year. We're also addressing student attendance. We're doing attendance incentives and making sure that we're contacting parents when students are missing more than 1 day. Teacher accountability, as Ms. Woods talked about, the equity analytics is truly a lifesaver for us. We do not have to sit for weeks, trying to figure out the data. The data is done for us. And for the teachers, it makes them accountable because each teacher is getting a letter grade. And so, it used to be in previous times where teachers are hiding behind,
the teachers that are doing well, but now everybody is accountable. We're also doing incentives for teacher attendance, because if teachers are not at work, they can't teach our students. Our next item on our action plan is our focus on Tier 1. We're making sure that our teachers are effectively using their HQIM, My View for Reading, and HMH for fourth grade reading, and Envision Math. And we have an MDE literacy coach and a Bailey educational consultant who are wonderful in helping us to make sure that our Tier 1 is on point. Also with Tier 1, we're looking at strengthening our PLCs and our common planning times. Teachers have common planning every Tuesday where they're meeting, they're planning together, they're looking at their instructional materials, they're modeling lessons, and they are actually leading those meetings. All right, our Tier 2, we're focused on data-driven teacher tables. It's important that the teachers are looking at their data and making sure that they're responding to it by working on those deficit skills with those students at the teacher table. And while they're at the teacher table, the other students are working on previously learned skills during their centers. Our next item on the action plan is we are addressing behavior. Our third graders this year are our second graders from last year who had a ton of discipline referrals, a ton of discipline issues, and so we have cut that down. We have created a PBIS committee that is made up of lead teachers, other staff members, our counselor, administrators, and then we're planning monthly PBIS activities to give students something to look forward to. We're also using Class Dojo for our behavior management system, and then we're creating alternatives for in-school suspension and out-of-school suspension, because we know that any time missed from the classroom is missed instruction. We're also focused on our Tier 3 interventions. I hope that you guys will allow us to hire our interventionists that will support our third and fourth grade students, particularly our lowest performing students. In third grade, we have a high number of overage students who are one or more grade levels below, and those are our students who are performing the lowest, and so we definitely need the extra support for them. We have been trained on a new intervention program called Fast Bridge, which we're looking to implement starting next week. And we also use our activity teachers and our first grade assistants to provide intervention services for our struggling students. Lastly, we want to address the social emotional well-being of each one of our students. So we have implemented the use of classroom champions to make sure that we're addressing that each and every day. Our expectations for bench 2, we would like to have an accountability scoreboard grade of C, which means that our reading proficiency goals for third grade is 30%, for fourth grade 45%, in math, third grade 35%, and in fourth grade 45%, with an overall proficiency goal of 38% in reading and math 48%. For our growth for all, for both reading and math, we want 65% for growth for all, and then for our lowest performing students, we want growth of at least 70% in every area. You have any questions?
The program that you mentioned, I think you said the name of it is Fast Bridge.
Fast Bridge.
What is it about?
It's an online intervention program where we can, offer students intervention face to face, and then they get on a computer program and work on that same skill, and it assesses them and everything.
Okay.
So when you implement that, would that be implemented through the regular day, or is it?
Yes, through the regular school day.
extra?
No, regular school day. We will pull them 3 to 4 times a week to implement those interventions.
Okay. Will a parent have access to the results?
They will, yes, sir. And then we share those results when we have our TSC.
Okay. And my last question is, to all of you, do you have what you need besides the intervention?
Yes. The technology, of course.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a hard to let it go.
Yes.
I was just wondering if I could have a copy.
You absolutely. Okay, I got that copy.
Thank you.
Yeah, we have copies of everybody. Yes.
Any more questions? Thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
You're welcome.
All right. Moving on, next, Summit Elementary School. Looking at data for, their third and fourth grades for reading. Right now, as far as benchmark 1 is concerned, 54 students took the assessment. Proficiency right now is 35.2%. Growth for all is 41.7%. And bottom quartile is at 62.5%. Moving over, looking at math, 54 students assessed, 51.9% right now are at proficiency, 108.3% growth, and bottom quartile, 108.3%. And just also to bring to you all's remembrance is that with third grade, the only students who get growth are those students who have been retained. Okay, so this 116.7%, they could be give or take anywhere from 3 to 6 children overall. Okay, so just the ones who are retained can get growth because really third grade is all about proficiency. Okay. All right, going to grade 4 at Summit, 51 students took the assessment, 35.3% are proficient at this point, 57.8% growth for all, 65% bottom quartile. Math, 51 students assessed, 45.1% proficient, 57.2% growth for all, and 63.6%. Okay. Looking at Summit Elementary, overall for grades 3 and 4, proficiency right now at 35.2% for reading, 56.8% for math, 64.6% for the bottom quartile. Moving over to math, proficiency is 48.6%, growth for all is 60.4%, and bottom quartile is 73.2%. And I will yield to Ms. Washington as she comes forward.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. So first, I would like to start by saying that the proficiency with the reading is definitely a target of ours, and we are working to improve proficiency. And with that, we know that there's some growth that is undergirded with that. But as we know, this is a different cohort, but the slides do show that there is a sharp decline in proficiency from last year to this year, especially for our BQ. Math BQ has improved, including successful, this would lend itself to the interventions and the skill-based manner in which math is being taught. We understand that the math pacing guide is taught in tandem with what is being tested. However, reading is comprehensive, and we understand that a reading question may be on the test, and the teacher may not have gotten to that standard, or the teacher may not have gotten to that standard to the depth in which that it is being tested on this particular reading test, because it's comprehensive. It's an end of the year standard that we're looking for in reading. But that suffices to say that by that we are wanting the reading proficiency to increase between 15 and 20 percentage points. We want to increase growth from 20 to 25 percentage points. And we want to raise our reading BQ growth at least by 70 to 80%. This can be done, it sounds like lofty goals, but this can be done by being very intentional with our tier 3. And I will echo what my counterparts at Ogden have said, that it is very doable. However, that the precision that an interventionist brings and the specialty that an interventionist brings to the table, really is a game changer. Currently, Summit does have one interventionist that works solely with the English language learner population, and she is working with the other 20-day identified students, the students that we identified the first, the beginning of the school that needed intervention. She's working with those. and additional tier 3 support is provided within the classroom. The teachers are using the HQIM, those high quality materials, tier 1. They are additionally using intervention materials that come with our HQIM, so that, we are getting a bang for our buck with those materials that we're purchasing. iReady is also used as a way to work with those students that are showing gaps, and that could be tier 2, which they might be in tier 2 for just this particular standard, and then they'll work their way out. But tier 3, we pull those students 2 to 3, 4 times a week. The teachers do that within their classroom in both reading and mathematics. Another goal that we have, in addition to those percentage increases, on the benchmark, we had not gotten a chance to work with our students on stamina for the timed test. So we are continuing to work on stamina, meaning per question, how you are responding. Are you daydreaming? Are you using each and every second that you're granted to work through those items on the test? So we're reminding them, we're giving them stamina in between those benchmark testing. And again, I again say that it is a goal to have content-specific interventionists. Okay? Core action steps of, like I said, to strengthen reading instruction through HQIM and our small groups. The intervention time is embedded right now within that teacher's teaching block, whether it's a reading class that's going on or whether it's a math class. Tier 3 is embedded in that time. However, after the second benchmark, we will move to a school-wide time of the day. Once we have more specific data, once we can understand that the students have practiced their pacing, practiced their stamina in completing the questions intentionally, we'll have sound data so that we can have groupings, school-wide groupings, and use teachers that are similar to what Dr. Walker said, teachers that are experts in a particular area. If it's narrative writing, we want that scholar to go to that particular teacher during this period of the day so that they can work on their tier 3 or tier 2 with narrative writing. But we'll make those adjustments for school-wide intervention time after the benchmark. Again, strategic use of iReady. And we want to replicate the success of math DQ strategies. So what I've noticed that the math PLC does a lot is they talk about questions. They talk about particular questions specific to the standard, what it looks like. And again, because reading can be kind of comprehensive and more global, we need to be very specific in our approach. So this will look like teacher modeling, okay? Say I'm teacher ABC, and I'm working on a language standard, and I just might need to practice that with my colleagues. So when I'm practicing teaching to my colleagues during the ELA PLC, my colleagues will ask me questions regarding what I'm teaching. Well, how do you pull out if a child is struggling with phonemic awareness? How can you ensure that child understands the text? What resources are you using? So we're calling that teach backs. And we will be starting. We'll be starting our teach backs again after this benchmark to be very intentional, so that they can open up and use each other's skills, bounce off of the expertise of their of their craft. Okay, and we are working intentionally with our MDE coach with the HQIM that we have the high quality instructional material that we have purchased. We're working with our MDE coach to ensure that we are using every piece with integrity. She checks in with not only the first, second, and third grade teachers, but she's also working with Ms. Johnson to ensure that she has the support that she needs. But of course, her primary focus is first, second, and third for the reading literacy. Okay, so we are looking at our global students, and again, with the use of equity analytics, it puts it at a fingertip. It makes it so easily accessible. The curriculum department previously worked very hard, but now it makes our work smarter, so we can focus on the resources and pulling resources rather than disaggregating the data
and, figuring out the data. The data is disaggregated, we just have to use our resources and become skilled in using our resources. And we also have to, not forget our advanced level students and proficient students. In looking at, the map and the direction of where we need to score, we have a high percentage of children that are 3B students, and we understand at this point how many questions those students need to get right. So with that being information that we have to now drill down and let those students take ownership of it, because it does not do me any good for me to know that, hey, for me to grow from a 3B to a 4, that I need to get, I'm just getting an arbitrary here, I need to get 27 questions right as opposed to the 24 I got right. It doesn't do me any good as a teacher to know that. We are empowering our students with that information so that they know when they take this benchmark, hey, this is, and we aren't giving them their lowest low-hanging fruit goal. We're giving them a doable goal that is rigorous for them, but also doable for them, so that they can take ownership of what they're doing. They can take ownership of, I need to really use these anchor charts, and I need to listen today, and I need to do my homework, so that they can, so that it becomes sound and sustainable practices, not just something that we are doing year to year and having to rebuild it. Okay, and we're taking our formative assessment. We're doing a midterm next week. We'll be responding to that midterm, just as we do with the benchmark, so we can, tweak some practices between benchmark time and where we are right now. And like I said, I mentioned earlier that, weekly we're using our iReady and our small groups. Bi-weekly, we're looking at our HQIM, I don't know why I can't say that, HQIM. We're looking at the results of those formative things that we do, exit tickets, bell ringers, oral questioning. We're looking at all of those things and making adjustments to how we teach. And that's done with the support of our PLC. And mid-year, we're making plan adjustments. Like I said, we'll move to more strategic time in which we work on interventions, because we'll have more information. And again, consider staffing needs for content-specific interventions. That is a need that is definitely something that I noticed, that we've had in the past, and it's made a difference. And it would make, we're doing a yeoman's job right now, but I think with interventionists, we could really take flight. And I don't know, I think that's it. Are there any questions? Any questions? Okay, my other cheat notes. And back to technology, I would have had y'all a copy, but my printer wasn't working, so Ms. Nita had to print this one. So I can use that copy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on next to Higgins Middle School, and as you notice with Higgins, of course, we added the science to the slide because they do have fifth grade science that is state tested. So looking at reading very quickly, 140 students took the assessment, 30.7% proficiency. Overall is at 52.5%, by the quartile 60.1%. Rolling over to math, 143 students took the assessment, so they're at 37.8% right now for proficiency, and growth for all 63.3%. By the quartile is 67.1%. Looking at science for this year in 2025, 141 students assessed, 63.8% in science as grade out. Moving on to sixth grade, 138 students took the assessment, 23.2% proficiency, 32.9% growth for all. By the quartile right now is at 48.5%. Looking at math, 141 took the assessment, 44% proficiency at this point, 60% growth overall, and 54.4%. Looking at Higgins overall for her 5th and 6th grade, reading right now, 27% proficiency, 42.8% growth overall. Bottom quartile, 54.6%. Looking at math, 40.8%. Proficiency, 61.7%. Growth for all, 60.9% for math. Right now for science, we're at 63.8%. And I will yield so that Ms. Woods can come forward.
It's funny, why Ms. Woods is coming up. I have a question on the previous one.
Okay.
Can you explain why, and this is in all of the schools, like in reading, we have 138 students took the test, but yet 141 took the math test. What is the difference?
Within just attendance on that day, and it could be in the actual testing window. Someone could be out of suspension, you know. And when they do come back, we do get it made up. But when I close the window, if they didn't take it that day, they just don't make the actual report. But we have the data in the system.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Woods, I'm sorry.
Okay, good evening again. I feel like you all already know my life. But I will tell you how we've been responding to Beach One Day, which I've addressed several things already. The proficiency in ELA, of course, is lower, going from 5th grade to 6th grade. And you notice my 5th grade reading proficiency is higher than 6th grade. There is a great division between those two tests. They truly go from elementary in 5th grade to leaning towards junior high in 6th grade. And so there's a big struggle for them to get the standards that they need by the time we get ready for the benchmark. I will say that I have every confidence in my staff. I have an excellent staff of ELA reading teachers, seasoned teachers, and I know this is going to come up. We do have one new teacher that he started over in the middle of the year, but I will say that he's proving to be awesome, and his data is hanging right there with the seasoned teachers. They meet with him daily. He comes up on the weekends. He is there where I live. He wants to make sure that he is doing a good job in servicing those students. And so you will see that ELA data from 6th grade come up. Some more things that we are doing, we have monthly departmental data checks. Then we also have weekly subject PLCs where they can get together within the math department or within the pod of teachers that are teaching. We did revisit our lowest performing students. We went from the list that we got at the beginning of the year when we got equity analytics. We went in and analyzed it again to make sure that every student who is on that list is being addressed. We're making sure tier students are being serviced 3 times a week with intensive pull-outs. Students with IEPs are receiving services based on their yearly goals with their IEP teacher, as well as those students who are falling into tier 2 and tier 3, they're receiving pull-outs there as well. Our EL students, we do have a population this year, and so they are being pulled out for interventions as well with our EL interventionist, Ms. Williamson. And so she pulls those students as well as them being pulled for growth groups at teacher tables. Of course, our rating, my pad, we are using it to monitor our growth. It also is excellent for students to know where they are. We are also having data tracks with the students so that they are aware of where they stand and what they need in order to grow to the next level. And lastly, we are providing motivation for students to strive to progress and reach higher achievement by having growth celebrations. And we're also doing perfect attendance. And we have decided that we're going to do that monthly, and it has been a big hit in order to get our students to school and to school on time. We've also, when the students are chronically late, they also have to speak with the principal when they come in. And so we're meeting with those parents, have to sign those students in, and then I just go to the front window and I just say, you know, it's the time. Come on, what we gotta do? We gotta give them your time to make sure that they're not missing class time. Expectations and focus that we're preparing, as we prepare for benchmark 2, we are going to continue on addressing skill deficits, standard deficits for individual students, for those global kids, for those kids that are tier 3. We're making sure our tier groups are being serviced with fidelity. That's all. Any questions?
Question, I think for Washington, she mentioned our students who are at the level of advanced and making them aware of where they are, so they need to be pushed a little bit more. What types of things do you do at Higgins to help with that?
I already addresses all students, and so it creates an individualized plan of instruction for students based upon where they are. And when we have those growth weeks going on, we also have groups that are happening within the classroom for students that are different levels. So those students who are achieving advanced and proficient are being serviced as well, but it looks a little bit different. We also have had a couple of celebrations. We had a field trip for all of our proficient and advanced students that they loved. And we also treated all of our perfect score students to lunch at Georgia Blue along with the Denton Scholars. And we did that in conjunction because, of course, some of my kids are now in Denton. And so we all went together. And that has been so much motivation because the other students are coming and I want to go. Do I get to go mid-term weeks? Can I go mid-term weeks? You gotta work. You gotta work.
Okay, that's great.
With your equity analytics, I know it's been a minute since I've worked with it. You know, it's an excellent program. Does it still allow you to produce the individual profiles of student data? And if so, is that information shared with the students to empower them to pull their data?
It is, and we are actually planning on, we've already discussed second out weeks when we have our report card pickup. We do want to have an in-house session for parents, and we are going to have a session where I actually go over what the report means, because we can print those reports individually for students now that has all of their data on it and shows us the goal. And so we are going to have those reports ready, and at report card pickup, we're going to have a session where I actually go in and teach parents so that I can show them what they're actually looking at on that report, and then they'll have the ability to ask questions before they then go to their child's individual teacher with a report in hand.
And I think Ms. Chapman mentioned how the students are excited to know their data, results of their data.
Yes.
So I think if we all do that, it would kind of help motivate kids to want to do.
And in our cafeteria during lunch, if you ever come in, you'll see that there's a table over to the side, and we're calling it our interventionist corner. And my interventionist, Ms. Sproles, actually sits during lunch. She has her lunch at the table, and she pulls kids just to discuss data, what they're doing in their classrooms, grades. There's some maybe stuff that you're not putting the project in, and the students are loving it. They are literally like, please call me, and I need, can I go? And we're gonna make that table a little bit more fancy as well. We're talking about hidden tablecloths, some decorations, so that the interventionist corner becomes even more inviting for students to know.
Some fruit, some snacks there.
Any more questions?
I have one more thing that I just want to have fun with, because the other week when I was at Higgins, the girls in Awesome Blossom, they were showing us y'all's what is it, peace, love?
So our school
Put your notebook down.
Our school motto this year was very well thought out, based upon last year, based upon where we want to go, and based upon what we are trying to do with our students in the community. And it is a hit. You can ask any student at Higgins, what is your school motto, and they are going to tell you. Peace, love, Higgins. Where learning is my passion.
All right, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving on into Denton Junior High School with grades 7 and 8. So first looking at grade 7, reading this year 128 took the assessment, 25.8% proficiency right now, 36.7% growth for all, 28.8% bottom quartile. For math, 124 assessed, 52.4% proficiency right now, 65.4% growth for all, and 60.8% in the bottom quartile. All right, looking at grade 8, 120 students took the assessment. Proficiency is at 22.5%. Growth for all, 28.2%. Growth for the bottom quartile is 42.6%. Moving over to math, 138 students assessed, 53.6%. Proficiency, 79.4% growth, 55.9% bottom quartile. Science, right now, 137 students took the assessment at 30.7%. Looking at Denton overall for grades 7 and 8, reading is at 24.2%, growth for all 32.6%, bottom quartile 35%. Math proficiency is at 53.1%, growth for all 72.7%, bottom quartile growth is 58.2%. Science at 30.7%. And I will yield to Mr. Wells so he can come forward.
Good evening. I'll give you all a list that I will call the 10 Commandments. So these are just a couple of things that we'll look at concerning them. The first thing we're looking at, we're grateful to have Beta Consultants now that are working with us. And Beta Consultant has prepared a data tracker for all of our students. And so we want them to take that and to own it. And with that being stated, in every classroom we're also doing data walls. We don't want them to look at the data in math and ELA, but we also want them to own their data in science and social studies as well. As the principal, I send out a weekly newsletter every week to all of the parents. We're also the all staff also need to report weekly for our students that are absent chronically. I'm able to send it out individually so I can make it personal. We're looking at using the bell work and the exit tickets. I've asked the teachers to give their layout for the month, where they give me all of the bell work and the exit tickets for the entire month. And I want them to look at the data, looking at the standards where the students are low, and they will provide their feedback. Ensure all core teachers have a plan in place to bridge gaps. That's the most important thing. Even in their lesson plans, I've asked them to look at the standards that we're weak in, and let's see what plans and things we can put in place, such as working with the SPED teachers as well, providing support. And also the SPED teachers are going to the classrooms to collaborate and work with the teacher/co-teach. I've encouraged the SPED teachers to also work with their students in the areas, because a lot of times we have some that are so close to being proficient. And so we're working with them to encourage them and to get them to go on across the River Jordan. We're looking at social studies. Concerning social studies, our social studies teachers have gone into our ELA PLC, and they look at the strategies that have been used in the classrooms, and so they're taking those strategies back and annotating also in social studies. They're not teaching ELA the actual content, but they're taking those strategies back to the classroom and using that social studies component. For science, we're working on our science. I provided the teachers with a checklist of the standards, and so we're looking at the standards to make sure that we're on target to meet our expectation. And the last thing is we utilize our counselor and behavior therapists to go into the classroom to meet our social and emotional needs.
Any questions?
For the science at the junior high, do you have what's needed in order for it to become more relevant for the students? I'm asking, I don't even know, Mr. Vick, how science is done at that level, if you actually have experiments and things that they're doing. I'm just curious.
Yes, so we're actually working with, we have a science coach who's working with us, and we also have another teacher that has joined our team recently that is a veteran teacher teaching 8th grade science. And so we're going to collaborate and look and create a plan so we can move forward. We're also even looking at, normally in the year, we wait until it's the end of the year to actually do a boot camp. But I'm requesting that we do a boot camp in each subject area this semester so we can prepare for next semester. And I'll piggyback off of what Higgins also said, stating the data from data analytics. We're going to take those reports, and when we have our report card pickup, we're going to give those out, because we wait until the end to discuss data. But if we discuss it now and have those charts, so when the parents come, you can show your mom where this is what you scored the first time, this is what you scored the second time, and so we want them to actually own that data.
We have, what about our science labs? Are they operative?
No. That's how we visit. I just want y'all to know, all principals, that it's good clear that when we get these programs that not only are utilizing them, that they actually work. And a lot of times when we approve those programs, we don't never get feedback on whether or not they work, but I guess this working. I appreciate that as a board member, that we get the feedback, so not 3 years from now, y'all say, well, it haven't been working. We don't know it's not working, but this is the first program since I've been on the board that each principal have recognized. I know you're coming up. Okay. Each principal have recognized it, and it makes it easier to make a decision on whether or not we continue to use it. Please.
When I heard that we were getting at the analytics, I've been wondering if you all would appreciate it, and I see how. So my last question is that one of your past anniversaries too?
No, sir.
Thank you, Doctor.
All right. Amen. I'm going to the last slide here. Okay, so McComb High School, on this slide, as it says, it is a semester one, bench one, with Master Connect on the high school level. First semester, they take 2 assessments. They take a semester one, and then they'll do a final comp, which they are about to do their final comp starting tomorrow with ELA. So this data is kind of like the temperature check, the first portion of instruction that took place. And like I said, they'll start with their final comps this week. So looking at English 2, you had 106 students to actually take the assessment. 39 of those were proficient, which gave a proficiency percentage of 36.4%. Passing, and we talk about passing with the high school in the end of course assessments. If a student is a 3A or above, of course that's considered as passing, which that's what they need. We want proficiency, but of course that 3A is also important to students to pass, for graduation purposes and all of that, to pass their actual end of course assessment. So when looking at the passing information, 85 students actually passed out of that 106, which gave us a passing percentage of 80.2%. And over here in this band, and I'll not talk about that part, I'll let Ms. Mason go ahead with that piece, but I'll read the other numbers over here. For algebra, 15 students actually took the test. 14 of the 15 were proficient at 93.3%. And so all of them were considered as passing because they were 3A and above, all of them. And so 100% pass rate there. All right. Looking at biology, 60 students actually took the assessment. 41 of the 60 were proficient, which gave us a 68.3% proficiency rate there. 55 of the 60 students were passing at 3A and above, which gave us a passing percentage of 91%. So I will yield there, and Ms. Mason will come up.
Good evening, everybody. To increase our proficiency, overall growth, and growth among students in the bottom quartile, we will be looking at both benchmark 1 and 2 for English 1, Algebra 1, English 2, Algebra 1, and Biology 1. Teachers will use this data to identify standards and questions found challenging and provide focused instruction. And as you all can see, we're at 93% proficient in Algebra 1. We will take that test starting, we will take MAP in the fall starting December the 11th. So by then, I think the number of proficiency will be 100%. We are working on teaching the students DESMOs as well as split out standards that they need, or focus standards in Algebra 1. For Biology 1, that number shows 68%, but we're looking to get at least 75% of the kids proficient because we know that for biology, for science, we only get proficiency points. So we're looking at 75%. That's increasing the number of students proficient to 45. And we hope to get at least 97% of those students to pass. That one student that we are really worried about, the teacher is working very hard and diligently with that student, focusing on standards. Again, ELA is our challenging area with 36.4%. So in addition to the things that we mentioned, to To strengthen proficiency, increase growth there, the ELA department has decided that we will begin small group interventions or pullouts within the department, within the period. We're trying to change McComb High School to be a data-driven school by intentionally focusing on standards and making sure their lesson plans are addressing the needs of students. So teachers have now gotten a planning period back, and we're doing PLCs where we can sit and talk and learn each other. If a teacher understands how to present a standard better than the other, they are demonstrating that within their PLCs. But we are also having data chats, data talks. Again, I'm echoing all my colleagues with equity analytics, and you can pull that up to see what type of grade you are as a teacher. It's eye-opening for the teachers. And if you don't want that grade, then you know that we have to adjust and do something different. So we're looking at that. We are pulling the students based off of that data. So if you're a 2B or a 3A and we need to pull you together, then that's how we're having targeted groups. And again, within the block, the teachers are forming groups where they're going to do teacher table and work with the students, because we don't have interventions as well. We definitely need our interventions back so that we can pull those students. So we're trying to find time within the block, 4 days a week, to do small group interventions along the hallway, in the hallway with all the other teachers having search part to do it. Students will also receive interventions through classworks, and that will be facilitated through our library for our Tier 2 and Tier 3 students. Again, we're doing data chats, but they are learning how to analyze data and be intentional about their lesson plans and about their instruction. The administration is providing feedback to teachers and offering support to increase their capacity. Teachers have been asked to contact at least 25 parents via school status, so now we are becoming a culture where parents know what's going on because they're contacting them, and we're using another tool that we bought, school status, so that we can have that as a record. And using equity analytics, we will print, as we are taking benchmark 2, we will print those scores out and send it to parents to let them know where their children are today or this week, as if they were taking the actual map, and also informing them of when we will take the state test. So those are the things that we are doing at McComb High School to increase our data or to address what we have here.
Any questions?
You just mentioned your last thing about sending
So in equity analytics, you can print out a letter of the last benchmark. And on that letter, it tells you what your score is and whether or not you would pass if that was your MAP score for any course assessment. It explains it to the parents what the score is, what you need to pass, and it gives a little paragraph there about the student performance. So we're going to send that out when they finish benchmark 2, as well as the calendar of the MAP that's scheduled.
So you haven't done that yet?
No, we started.
Were you getting any feedback? You haven't actually, okay.
No, we started MAP benchmark 2 tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you.
I don't have a question, but I do have a comment for the principals. A good environment makes the teachers want to come to work and makes the students want to come to work. This is the first year, and I commend the principals, and I don't know if y'all getting together and collaborating like y'all doing in y'all individual buildings, but the teacher attendance rate has been in the 90th percentile this whole school year. So whatever y'all doing, I commend y'all, because people coming to work, and they only come to work if they happy to be there. And they can't teach the kids if they're not at work. So thank y'all.
This concludes the Vision 1 overview, and I will definitely say I am happy to have equity analytics. We have had a good system over the years of keeping up with it, but when the hands get fewer, it's a lot to do it by hand. So I thank you all for allowing us to get that. It's been a game changer so far, and I can't wait to see just how well it helps us with the data at our fingertips. So, but this concludes our Bench 1 overview. Thank you all.
And at this time, I would like to say, I would like us to give these principals a hand clap, a great Students coming to work, hey, to school, that's their job.
But I want to
That's
say,
right.
I want to say also, you know, the analytics is supposed to also be, updated with some increased, AI. So it's another portion that's coming. So it's gonna be even better to be.
Thank you all. Thank you. Now we're back to our agenda, is review of the minutes. Do I have a motion?
I move we review and accept the minutes.
I second the motion.
I have a motion and a second to review and approve on minutes. Any questions or concerns? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Next, we have review and approval of financial statements. Can I have a motion?
One moment, I'm wondering, just
Yes.
okay, I was gonna say this. But the question is, so, I move that we, review and approve of the financial statements.
I second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or concerns? Dr. Burke?
Yes, I do. I just have one, person in on our, the last report. Apologize for our, September, general ledger. And our bank balance. On September bank balance, we have, the 16th section that's listed. Is that the total amount that as of? As of the, end of September? That
I'm not, are you at the
We
bank rate
received-
department?
Okay.
I thought you at the bank rate today?
I'm speaking in terms of the bank reconciliation.
Yes, sir. Now that 3.6 is gonna have to be moved to, she put it in the wrong account, so we had a discussion about it. So we gotta change the code and move that, so it's gonna be the 4 million. What's on those statements I gave you all.
That's what I'm,
But it's gonna be, that plus is gonna be, we're gonna take that 3.6 out, that outstanding deposits. When she put it in there, I called her about it. So, she said we need to do an entry to move that, because it's going into general operating, because that's the 3.6 million loan. She was thinking it was the money we got back to put in their account. I told her, no ma'am, that doesn't go. Yes, sir. So that's gonna be moved under the 16th section principal. But in the interest account, that's 708, that's what we have in the interest account right now, 708,000.
so when are we gonna make that transaction, those transactions?
It'll be on the next one. Cause she had sent these and completed them, so I reviewed them, and I told her that was, incorrect.
Okay. And I see we, in the EF revolving loan, that's, we'll change this on the next report as well.
No, sir. That's the law that, district received to do, I think it was it intercom? To do intercom.
Do the intercom?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I got it.
Yes, sir, so that won't change. That's okay. You know, until we start, once we get the project, then we'll pay out of that.
Okay.
Yes, sir. But that's that specific one that was the district received.
Okay.
Any more questions or concerns? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next, we have review and approval of claim docket.
I move that we review and approve the claims docket.
Can I have a second? I second the motion. I have a motion and a second. Any questions or concerns?
First,
Dr. Burke?
claim docket, let's see. It's gonna be 846,755. And which, school is this, gym floor? $2,200.
It might be the high school.
The high school, so we have not considered, I guess that's another discussion, but when we had to have the same thing for the gym floor at Denton, that I've been questioning about. That's the goal, that we need to do something for Denton.
Yeah, so we will take a look at that, Dr. Bird, and give it that.
I keep asking them. Also, claim docket 846,876 on Synergetics. I know there was some person about.
Yes, sir. Senator came in and helped diagnose our issues that we were having with our wireless. Mr. B, you want to speak to that?
Which one is that, Ms. Hall?
I think this is the Promethean board.
This is on the panel.
all right.
And is this for particular school or?
Yes, sir. It was the last of the fiscal year 25 federal funds. We used those for the mobile devices, the iPads for the schools. The last project was Promethean boards. 4 went to Summit, 4 went to Otkin, 4 went to Kennedy, 3 to Higgins, 3 to Denman, 3 to high school. And that was a split of the funds that were left over in those school accounts.
So that has been handled.
Yes, sir, it has.
Okay, because I know we were questioning that earlier. The other, thank you, Mr. Biggs.
Yes, sir.
The other, is the 846,881. And I know this is coming from the bill that, the Kessler, you and Kessler,
Yes, sir.
from 2024. How many more payments do we owe? Is this the last payment?
I with the accurate, yes, sir. But,
So can we, do we know whether our issues with the HVAC has been completed?
Dr. Brown,
Most everything has been taken care of. We have, thankfully, we only had 2 issues this morning with heat and HVAC. So those are being cleared up. This past 3 or 4 months, an electrical issue was identified on the installation. And we've had Kessler has had an electrician go around changing every one of our units' wires because when it was initially installed, it wasn't wired correctly. And they are paying for that. We're not paying them for that as part of the original contract. It's something they're having to clean up. So thankfully, we have worked diligently to catch those issues before they receive final payment.
and before we submit final payment, me and Mr. Brown discuss, so we'll get together and you'll say we can go ahead and pay the final or they still have some other things to do
Yes.
before we pay them their final payment?
I hope so, and not just being sarcastic, but I'm just being factual. That,
Yes, sir.
you know, we don't want to be in a situation, like we were previously where we had students in classroom and they were freezing to death.
Yes.
That should never happen. The other, is claim number 846882. Do we know which of this is for our regular, expense or which ones are coming from the hearing? We asked, and I think it was a couple of these, have been asked, we've been asking a couple of times for a breakdown. I think Ms. Morton asked on, previously.
That was Adam Reese.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The other, is, and this is just for clarity, on, item number, because this is the last one that was added to the agenda, this is the reason why.
Yes, sir.
Okay, 846884 is, okay, it says the wireless, is this for, cell phones or?
Yes, sir. Now, that'd be cell phones, yes, sir.
So we have a different cell phone service for these, for, it's showing athletic and school, food service. But
So-
yet we have another AT&T listed cell phone, so, I mean,
Now, C-Spire's on wireless bill.
it's the wire.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So in athletics, if the AD, whoever has a phone, athletics is on for that. So it comes out of that fund in child nutrition, which is school food service, they pay for their own portion of the bill.
Okay.
And the rest of it comes out of district.
All right, so what I'm saying is, we have a total of how many? Do you know about?
I don't know, right?
Because I see, I'm trying to see if there's a difference between the two listings that we have, that you provided for us. If not, that's information we get later, don't.
But it's-
The other is, my last question is, claim number 846892.
Yes, sir.
Do we know if, I've asked this question before, and we've been back and forth on this. How many more, first, let me ask this question, how, is this our last payment on this one?
No, sir.
Okay, so it would be the same as the other one.
Yes, sir.
So, have the issues with the windows at the high school have been corrected?
We've got 3 that leaked when we had a heavy storm, and Murphy's and Sons, they're coming back to check on them and see why they leaked. So that should be this week, but I'll keep Mr. Vick updated about that too, let y'all know.
Okay, so are we gonna also address the issues that we had, the concerns with the, what is it?
The condensation.
What I know about the condensation is the issue, but also the, from what I understand, there were concerns with the sun coming in where they could not see them. The boards, Promethean boards, and students could not.
Yes, sir, we are, and I have looked into some temporary coverings for it. The only issue is even that is a very expensive proposition. So we're trying to get a permanent solution for it rather than patch a problem and then come back with the permanent solution. And I shared with Mr. Vick and the high school principal, that's probably gonna be $150,000 to $200,000 project. Putting all the coverings in and outside the way we do it. So that's going to require an RFP and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, we're gonna teach.
We can, but teachers like to, they like to have that ability to open and close. And so we're trying to come up with a solution that will work, but it will also please their preference to be able to. Now we can, and just if you do a mirror tint that's on the inside, it creates heat inside that window, and it will void the warranty. So we're trying to be very careful about what we do. But I do have a solution for the bottom floor, actually like the ceiling, but like I said, it's still very expensive.
It's just, I mean, this is my personal opinion. You know, now, it's just a thing that we spend so much money on that, and then we have to go back, you know, for, yes, correct that type of concern. It's just something for us to really think about, especially when we're spending those dollars.
Yes, sir.
That's all I have. Madam President.
I just had one thing, Mr. Vick, and we talk about this at every meeting when it comes down to the claims docket. We have to say in the purpose what building it is, and we have to find a way to not continue to have items on the docket that goes back to 2024. At this point, we need to contact every vendor in the system and say, hey, if you have an outstanding PO, is we going into 2026 and we still paying bills from 2024? That's unacceptable.
You know, we talked with the UN Kessler and Jerry Craft, we have a payment plan with you.
So this date gonna remain the same underneath.
Now, I'll see if they can, I'll give with them, but
No,
we
you
got approved. No, I'm saying, like, with them, they understand, like, we had a, payment plan with them. When,
in the previous thing, we have several dates that's just outstanding.
that's like, yes, and now this one, these, but the other ones, but these, they know, we discussed with the,
So moving
company.
forward, we shouldn't have any,
Well, we still, we paying them
But
out
not-
of the payment plan.
not Mr. Crabtree,
Okay.
anybody else.
So it's
We still
construction
getting-
on, well, we're trying to make it was construction on,
Okay.
cause we've been, working, getting the stuff, getting them put in the college, so we still for sure have construction, like you and Kessler and Jay Crash. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we can accept that,
Yes.
but the other vendors
Yes.
can't keep
Yes, ma'am.
having a year out invoice.
Right.
I think the construction, we have to do that because of audit purposes, because the purchase order was generated when we come forward with this others. It should be had.
Any more questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Next, we have a report and presentation of the business of the superintendent.
Thank you, Madam President. A report and presentation of the business of the superintendent. A1, we have a 16-section report.
Any questions or concerns?
Just got one question on it. It's, have we found out anything about the pending response from Adam and Reese?
Yes, I met with the constable, and he told me how to go do it. The previous constable I talked to I found someone who knew how to point me in the right direction, so we filed the proper appropriate paperwork last week in Justice Court. We go in November 24th at 9 a.m. to close this out, and that should finish it, so we'll be able to do whatever we want to do with that land moving forward.
Mr. Brown, did Philip Holloman in my office assist you with that? Or was it Alex Bondurant?
It was Alex initially, and then I sent all the stuff in after I posted with Justice Court, and Philip responded to that.
So, I'm glad to know that because it's been sitting on there for a minute.
Yes, sir. And just for clarification, we have, 6 different loans, 16 section loans.
I think 3 of them are 16 section, and the other 3 are one from Trustmark, one from, I can't think of the name, the other bank, and then one from MDE. I think 3 of them were 16 section, but it's 6 loans in total.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, so because they were 10 on that 16 section. And
Oh, cause I put the, on here, it should tell you which, what is 16 section and how much, so you know which 16 section it is. If it's Trustmark, if it's the, I think it's First National Bank, or if it's, the loan through MDE. It should have a title, yes, sir. But 3 of them are 16 section.
all right.
I have a question. On the report, we have every 5 years land use and plan must be reviewed and adopted by the school board. When is that due?
Due annually, so it will be done and review put in place by July 1, 2026. We're seeking guidance on how to possibly turn part of it into a hunting lease. That's one of the most profitable ways to maximize, so we're just trying to make sure we've got everything in place before we move forward with that.
Any more questions? All in favor? Aye. Oh, we don't have to, I'm sorry, I apologize, we don't have to vote on that. Mr. Bivens?
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have a teacher attendance report. Right now, teacher overall attendance is at 90%. The TAC is leading the way at 97%, followed by the BNT at 96%. All of the schools are hovering around 90%. Principal has been offering incentives to teachers, such as Gene Day and other incentives for them to get motivated to come to work. I want to appreciate the effort they put forth. We want to get teachers' attendance into the upper 90s by the time we enter into the second semester.
Any questions about teacher attendance?
Next, we have teacher student of the month recognition. We're going to start with Kennedy and then go to Simon.
All right, Kennedy Grove Childhood Center, the teacher of the month is Kim Mary Lyons. She's in her 3rd year of teaching and she's wonderful. Our staff of the month is Ms. Tyson Jackson. Our kindergarten student of the month is Naomi Dillon, and our pre-K student of the month is Nova Anasia.
They are student of the month, well, I'll start with teacher. Teacher of the month for Summit Elementary is Ms. LaShonda Johnson. Our staff of the month is Sarah Rushing. Students of the month, 1st grade, Naela Kane. 2nd grade, Cedric Dillon. 3rd grade, LaMichael Wells. 4th grade, Cassidy Cook.
Our October recognitions, our teacher of the month is Ms. Kentara Haynes, who teaches 3rd grade ELA and social studies. Our staff of the month is Alicia Chambers. She is our PE and health teacher. Our students of the month are Bernadette Crosby for 1st grade, Logan Donaldson, 2nd grade, Azaria Wells, 3rd grade, and King Everett, 4th grade.
Our Higgins teacher of the month is Miss Brittany Bates. She teaches 5th grade math. Our staff member of the month is Miss Barbara Lee. She is special services self-contained. Our 5th grade scholar student of the month is Miss Kagan Perkins. And our 6th grade student of the month is Miss Elena Felipe Chick.
Our teacher of the month for Demic is Mr. Jose Chapman. Our staff of the month is Miss April Swanigan. Our 7th grade student of the month is Kelly Andrews, and 8th grade is Katie Banks.
The McComb High School students of the month are Raven Thompson and Elijah Marshall. The teacher of the month is Mrs. Zenobia Smith, who teaches Biology 1. And our staff of the month is Ms. Joyce Thompson, who does our attendance.
The D&T Teacher of the Month is Lysandra Brumfield, and the Student of the Month is Alyssa Muller.
Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Next, we have this one report, coming back from fall break, all of the principal had a reset assembly with all of these students, and they reset for the 7-9 weeks. We had a drop in discipline at our school. McComb High School had 17 left referrals for the month of October. Ogden had 21 left referrals that they led the way, and McComb High School had 29 left referrals for the month of October. So I want them to continue to have these reset periods where we talk to our students in these assemblies and provide PBIS incentives as we continue to move forward. We need our students in the classroom and not at home. But I'd like to thank the principal for a good job for the month of October. Enrollment breakdown, at the end of September, we had 2,017 students. At the end of October, we lost 2 students. Right now, I was attending to 2,015. President, that concludes the report and presentation of the superintendent.
At this time, we have the consent agenda item.
Madam President, we have number 8, consent agenda 1 through 4.
I move that we approve the consent agenda items 1 through 4.
Second motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or concerns? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Next, we have the regular agenda. C1, approval of policy review.
Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the policy review.
Second motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or concerns? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
C2, approval of policy update.
I move for the approval of the policy update.
I second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or concerns?
Question. On that particular policy, is that, just that one word that's been changed?
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Number 3, approval of 26-27 academic calendar.
I move that we approve the 26-27 academic calendar.
I second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or concerns? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Number 4, approval of agreement to accelerate learning of STEM scope.
I move that we approve an agreement that accelerates learning STEM skills.
I second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or concerns? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
5, approval of the request, approval to request permission to seek bid with technology, excuse me.
Do I have a motion?
I move for the approval of the request and permission to seek bid for technology.
I second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or concerns? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Number 6, approval to collect donations for United Givers.
I move that we approve of collect donations for United Givers.
I second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or concerns?
Question, Mr. Vick. The concern that I have here is whether or not, students will understand that they're just bringing coins from home and not necessarily going out door to door. Is this?
Yes, ma'am, based on the conversation you and I had last week, I spoke to Ms. Chapman about that, and she did address that in the facility with her students.
Okay.
Any more questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Number 7, approval of pay increase.
Right.
I move that we approve of pay increase.
I second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or concerns? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Next, we have, number 13, personnel recommendation.
I move that we approve personnel recommendations.
I second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or concerns? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Do we have anything? Do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I move that we adjourn this meeting.
I second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?